We've seen a trend in a fair few 2017 bikes, and that's this kind of movement towards the one bike for all road, a bike that's just pretty much adaptable to whatever conditions you're riding. You know, be that the smoothest tarmac in the Alps or the gnarliest cobbles in Belgium. These are bikes that are designed to do that, and they've come from two fairly different places. We've got BMC with their all-new Roadmachine and Focus with the new Paralane. We've just finished our testing for 2017's Bike of the Year. It's a process that starts back in September. Each bike we tend to get a couple hundred miles in, sometimes more, especially when we revisit them. Our 25 bikes offer a really broad cross-section of what's out there, but it also throws up some really good opportunities to put some of these key bikes head to head to find out which ones come out on top. Focus have taken their extensive knowledge of carbon and especially making lightweight bikes and applied that to the Paralane, a very different machine. The frame comes in at just 900 grams. They've made tweaks to the geometry so that we can get much bigger tyres in there. The bike does come equipped with mudguards, which is great if you do mostly riding in the UK like we do. And then built this all into a very, very capable road bike, but one that's one of the most adaptable we've seen. BMC with the Roadmachine have done quite an interesting thing. They've taken the very best elements of the team machine, the SLR that is, and they've taken their Gran Fondo, which was their kind of endurance machine, and they've done this kind of weird mashup between the two. And one of 2017's most exciting looking and one of the most exciting riding bikes. When we spoke to the design team at Focus about the Paralane, they came back with a rather strange response really. They said it was a bike that they designed to take a shortcut, and that's basically because where their design offices are based, to get out onto the really, really nice roads, you can either take a big deviation of rather some really boring roads through a town, or you can do a fast cut through the forest. Now they were all doing that before, but on Isalco Maxes, a 700 gram frame super bike is probably not the sort of thing you're going to be riding through the woods on, and so this is how the kind of concept for the Paralane was born. So when you look at the Paralane's geometry, it's quite interesting to see some of the tweaks they've made. At the front, they've kept the head tube exactly the same size, and they've put 10mm into the fork at the crown, which has the advantage of giving you bigger tyre clearance, and also it gives the bike a nice kind of look visually. And when you combine that with slightly lower in the bottom bracket, again you get this kind of relative stack to give you that nice comfortable upright position. It all comes together with a bike that's still visually attractive. When you're moving down towards the back end of the bike, they've done some really interesting things. The seat stays are actually constructed in tension, so it's almost like they're preloaded. So when you hit something, they want to unspring, which creates this real kind of kick back end flex. It all sounds a bit odd, but when you're actually riding, when you hit rough stuff on this bike, it's very much like the back end of a Domani, in that the faster you go and the harder you hit the big stuff, the more active the back end becomes and the better it feels. It's impressive stuff. It's also interesting to see they've taken the 25.4 diameter seat post, which Cannondale brought back with the CAD 12 and are using throughout the Evo and the Synapse ranges, and they've put that into the Paralane. A simple thing like reducing that diameter of your seat post just gives you that little bit more flex, adds that little bit more comfort. Specification wise, the Paralane is good. It's not brilliant. For the money, some people might expect to get Shimano or Tegra. Here you get 105, and that comes combined with some fairly middle of the road Fulcrum disc-specific wheels, which do have a nice rim shape. They're that nice little bit wider, well suited to a 25mm or above tyre. It comes with 25s, which is a little bit surprising for a bike that can go so much bigger. We thought they might have wanted to make a bit more of a statement about that. That, however, has probably got something to do with the fact that it comes with those dedicated mudguards. Focus tell us that the guard, slightly flattened, slightly wider shape, is designed to take up to a 30C tyre sitting underneath. We haven't tried that, but if they say that will work, then maybe it does. Stopping duties are handled by Shimano's BR505s. It's a really good quality hydraulic disc brake. It's on the same level as 105, even though it's a non-series product. The only criticism that gets levelled at the 505 is the lever shape, which is slightly more bulbous, slightly bigger than Shimano's more expensive offerings. The slightly bigger shape of the hood does suit bigger hands, but we quite liked it for when you are riding in the rough stuff, having that slightly bigger thing to grab hold of, especially when you're up on the hoods. It does feel that little bit more confident. On the road, it feels just as quick and just as fast as any good top-end endurance bike should. What you've got here is a nice light frame, decent kit, an all-up weight that's just 8.3 kilos in an XL. So it may look like, you know, a bit like a classic tourer with those mudguards in place, but believe us, it's a super quick, super nice handling, really, really confident, thoroughly modern bike. BMC described the Roadmachine as the one bike collection. They basically mean that this is a bike that could be raced, yet at the same time you could just take this out and go on a big, long, super endurance ride. To achieve that, what they seem to have done is just taken the geometry of the GF, taken the geometry of the Team SLR, and then just gone smack bang into the middle, completely occupying that middle ground. So you're looking at a bike that's a few millimeters taller than a Team Machine, but a good 10 millimeters lower than a GF. Even things down to the wheelbase, it's not as short and tight as the Team, it's not as long as the GF. That might sound like it's full of compromise, but there are so many neat touches on this bike. They've done anything but compromise. This is the next generation of BMC design. Even things like frame weight seems to be hitting that middle ground too. It's lighter than the GF, it's not as light as the Team Machine. You know, that's a sub 800 gram frame. When you're looking at the Roadmachine, this is a 900 gram frame, not exactly heavy. When it comes to ride quality, what BMC have looked at here is introducing enough compliance to make this bike comfortable and giving it the added advantage of being able to take super wide tyres in order to give it the qualities of a bike like the Gran Fondo with the ability to get a little bit off the beaten track. The Roadmachine is capable of taking much bigger tyres. It is rather surprising that just like on the Paralane, they've opted to go with a 25 tyre. The added benefits that you get from getting comfort from a 28 over a 25, we think is worth it. There's very little weight penalty. And as we've proven in recent tests, 28s have fantastic rolling resistance, in most cases outperforming a 25. When it comes to the other components on the Roadmachine, probably the one thing that most people are really going to miss compared to its higher end cousins is that beautiful one-piece bar and stem combo that they've got running on the top end Roadmachines that integrates all the cabling, looks super clean. Unfortunately, on the bike of this price, you don't get that. You get a fairly standard cockpit. The same can be said for tyres, seat post, saddle. It's all good, competent stuff. It does have some bearing on how good value for money the Roadmachine is, as like the Paralane, this one only comes with 105 as well. It comes here with a super broad range of 50-34 compact chain set, matched at the back to a super widespread 11-32. So this bike is just capable of getting you up the steepest inclines with no worry. Braking duties like the Paralane are handled by the RS 505s. What more can we say? It's a really good, competent brake. The levers are slightly ugly. You don't notice that when your hands are wrapped around them though. So the Roadmachine has a new concept and a new design for BMC. It is really truly successful. It's such a great bike to ride on the road. There's a but, and it's quite a big but, because this is a brand new bike, because it's all new engineering, it ain't cheap. It's more expensive than the Paralane for pretty much the exact same level of kit. Once the Roadmachine design gets a little bit more established, we'll expect to see prices come down. The Roadmachine is a truly, truly remarkable bike. The ride quality is just absolutely sensational. It's so swift, it's so sharp. Even though at this price and with this spec, it's not exactly a lightweight, you know, it's 8.8 kilos. It's a fair heft for a bike of this type. When you're riding it though, it just doesn't feel it. You just can't feel that weight. It feels and reacts and handles like a much, much lighter bike. Some of that might be down to the little scene, but pretty decent Novatec wheels that this one comes with. It's a semi-aero shallow section aluminium rim that's pretty decently wide, so it shapes your tyre nice and well. But this is built up with a really nice quality build, good quality hubs. They may be a little bit bland to look at, but compared to the big rivals that you'll see on equivalent bikes from the likes of Mavic or Fulcrum, these are really, really competitive. A little bit lighter, just as well built. Fair play to BMC for seeking these ones out. So to sum up the Roadmachine, yes, it's expensive, but it's so very capable. It's certainly more road focused than some of the all-road designs out there, but that doesn't make it any less capable when it comes to gravel. It is expensive. Some of the competition might have higher grade drivetrains than this, but there are very few bikes out there that are as capable as this. In most years, the Roadmachine would have just seen off all the competition. But when it comes to the Paralane, this is a bike we just truly love, even those 80s heavy metal inspired graphics. This is a bike that just hits that middle ground between gravel, endurance and race. You've got that triangle of all the things you want, giving you one of the true great all-round bikes for 2017.